I'm Congressman George Miller. I'm chair of the Education and Labor Committee. Every day, hardworking American individuals and families make the difficult decision to set aside part of their earnings to provide for their retirement for their future years after their employment ends. Every year, when they make that decision, they give up other things that they could be doing with that money. And that is one of the most difficult decisions, but one of the most important decisions that American families make to plan for their retirement. We know now that over the last several years, these very same families have lost huge percentages of their 401k funds because of the financial scandals that drove the stock market down to unprecedented levels during their working time. And every day, what they find out now is that in fact Wall Street is dipping in to their savings, the savings that they make very difficult decisions about setting aside for their retirement because of excessive fees, of fees that are not properly disclosed. They lose, according to the Department of Labor, up to 28% of their retirement that they would have over their working life because of those fees and their failure to understand them because they're not disclosed in a proper fashion. That practice has got to stop. If Americans are going to have the kind of retirement that they are trying to save for, if they're going to be able to provide for themselves and their family as they hope to be able to do when they make these decisions to set aside these funds, they cannot have Wall Street continuing to dip in to their retirement money that they earned, money that they set aside. They cannot continue to have Wall Street dip in to the extent over their working life that may add up to almost 28% of the money that they chose to save. And that's why today I will be sending to each member of the Senate Finance Committee a pie that represents the savings of American families and American individuals. I will be sending them a pie, but that pie will not be a whole pie. That pie will be missing. It will be missing. Some 28% of that pie will be gone because that represents what Wall Street is taking away from these American families, from these hardworking individuals that make the decision to plan for their retirement. So we will be asking the Senate in the deliberations over the American Jobs and Closing Loopholes Act, we will ask them to restore the ability of the American families to have all of their savings, to make sure that it's not dipped into in an invisible fashion by the Wall Street firms. So we're asking them to restore that unjustified, unconscionable 28% extraction that is made by the Wall Street firms, restore that back to the families that worked hard to save that money. And so what we're going to be doing is sending to them a pie, and what I'm asking them to do is to take this 28% of that pie that is taken out of the savings of American families and give it back to the American families, to put it back into this pie and to make sure that the American family has a whole pie that represents their savings, their sacrifice, and their planning. If they don't do that, we will have a pie that is like this, and this is what we will send to the Senate. We will send them a pie that says this is the cut that Wall Street is taking out of the 401k plans of hardworking Americans, and that cut is unacceptable. It's very, very important because we know that American families, when they make these decisions, are making decisions about how long they will have to work, whether or not one of the working members of that family will be able to retire early or not, whether they'll have to work longer. These are very difficult decisions for families. And then to find out that the best planning you can do is disrupted because Wall Street's dipping in to your savings. This is their money. This is the family's money. This is the decisions that have been made. And we have got to end that practice. The House voted overwhelmingly to end that practice. The Education and Labor Committee, after working for 3 years on this provision, worked on a measure that has received widespread support, and we think that it's important that the families and consumers get the opportunity to take advantage of the transparency and a simplification and a straightforward acknowledgement of what the fees are, What do they cost the plan, and how are they taken out of that plan? That's what the American families deserve. That's what hardworking people deserve when they make the decision to provide for the retirement. We constantly say, as the Congress of the United States, to American families, you must plan and you must save for your retirement. We constantly tell young people, begin early, saving for your retirement. But just a 1% increase in an unjustified fee means over your working life, you could lose up to 28% of the money that you thought you were setting aside for your retirement. That's the importance of this legislation. That's the importance of having transparency. That's the importance of free disclosures.